All right, so I'm going to do this video because this was an Ask HershNoeie question that Noelle did, right, to our Discord members. We had a few people chime in terms of what their opinions are. I waited to see what people were going to say before I said what I felt like, right? So I expressed it on there today, but she left this question back on the 28th of May. But I'm going to I expressed it today what I felt. I'm going to express it to you guys, those who aren't on our Discord, which definitely do join. It's free. But you're part of a community where we can pretty much talk about anything, whereas here I have to be kind of guarded. But this is her question. She said, heard this convo on the radio this morning. What would you do if you had been married for several years with kids and your spouse comes home and says that she wants to have an open marriage? Okay. So I had to put in there, just to clarify, folks, it ain't me. She didn't say. Because some people are like, is that him? Is he one that? No. Well, here's kind of my take, and people put their stuff on there. Someone else had asked something similar as well, because they were saying that this person that they were with was later came out being polyamorous, and I gave my whole story about what happened with me, and somebody was polyamorous, and so it's going to be very similar to this. My opinion is going to be very similar. First off, I think that if anyone wants to be polyamorous or have an open marriage or an open relationship or anything like that, that's up to them. That's truly their own business, or those individuals involved. That's their own business, right? I don't judge that. When it comes to a person's relationship, there's very few things that I'm going to say, yeah, that's wrong. Excuse me. I think that that's okay. I don't have an issue with that, and there could be a lot of reasons as to why individuals want to be polyamorous or why they want to have an open marriage. It may not be just as simple as, oh, they want, more fun. That may not be the case. It could be other things, right? So I try not to sit there and judge that, because it doesn't affect me. And that's typically how I look at things. If something doesn't impact me or doesn't harm someone else, I don't really care. There are many things that people say and do in relationships that are kind of controversial and may not be up to your liking or may not be your taste, but it's not hurting anybody. And as long as both people are okay with it, I mean, why should I care? Right? Why should I care? I remember in I think it was a blog, this person talked about she had dated a guy, and he wanted to dress up as a baby, right? And he wanted her to treat him like, she was the mommy or something and he was the baby. And she thought it was the weirdest thing ever, and she broke up with him because she's like, that just came out of nowhere. There's never a discussion. There's never anything that hinted to that, but just all of a sudden he was like, hey, I really, let's try something. And he comes out dressed on as a full-on baby, right? And so I get that, because that wasn't what she signed up for. She didn't know. Now, had he came out early and said, this is kind of what I like, you may think it's weird, then she could have handled that in a much more better circumstance, right? She could have looked at that and said, thanks, but no thanks. It's not going to work. And I don't know how the dude handled that, but I don't blame her. I look at it the same way in terms of this. If you have been into a relationship for several years, whether you're married, whether you're just in a long-term relationship and you're not married, or whatever the circumstance, and someone then later says, I want to have an open relationship or an open marriage, I don't think that that's cool. I don't. If your relationship or marriage has actually become a little bit more distant or less fulfilling or whatever, I think that's a conversation you need to have, right? I think that's a conversation you need to have. Or if you just really are all about the fun, and you're wanting a little bit more than what you're given, then I think you need to tell that person, look, This isn't really about you. This is more about me. This is one of those, and that's the one thing I hated back in the day. It's not you, it's me. I hated that. But this is a circumstance when that is the truth, right? Like, it's not you, it's me. I want to be able to have a little bit more. So I would like to have an open relationship where there's, different people that I can vibe with at different times, and I can hang out with different people and not feel guilt. That's different, right? And that, if that's the case, then, and the other person's like, cool, cool. But if they're like, no, then you need to basically either respect that or you need to bounce. You see what I'm saying? Or give that person the opportunity to leave. Don't force it on them. Don't make them feel bad because they're saying no, because they never signed up for it. Same thing with the person that wanted to be a baby. Don't get mad now because you never said anything, and now this is what you want to do, and you expect your partner to be okay with it. They have the right to be like, no, that's not for me. And either you have to sacrifice the person that wants to be a baby or the person that wants to open a relationship. Either you have to sacrifice and say, okay, well, they're not about that. I got to be cool with that. Either you're going to look at it that way and follow that, or it's a big enough deal for you to say, I have to pretty much leave this relationship because it's not for me. So personally, and the other thing too, and someone on they're on all of our social media. He was saying that, he has certain values and he doesn't want to compromise those values. And he has kids with someone. This is their partner wanted to be polyamorous. And he was like, that's just not shit. Maybe I should have went along with it. And my whole thing was no, because you're going to have resentment. You can go down that road, but I always feel like if you go down that road and sacrifice the things that you really and truly value and hold true, then you're going to end up having resentment towards that person, and you're going to have more arguments and fights potentially, and that impacts the kids greatly. So I understand his point. They had kids, so you kind of want to stay with your partner, and if there's any sort of potential differences, try to work through those. But there are certain things, it's different from, oh, you leave your clothes on the floor, or, oh, you don't clean up your mess, as opposed to, oh, you want to love on other people and all. That to me is different. You compromise when it's things that are just lifestyle differences based on, the messes and all of that. When it's big lifetime or lifestyle differences, to me, that's a completely different thing. That's a completely different thing because and it doesn't make you weak. It just means that's not for you. And it's the same thing with this whole open marriage thing. Now, given the fact that, based on Noelle's question, what would you do if you've been married for several years and with kids, and then your spouse comes to say that he or she wants to have an open marriage? To me, I'd be questioning a lot of things. Like, what have you done in the past then? Because why now? Why wait till after kids and everything? It's one thing that maybe you waited and you got married and you're thinking, maybe I want to open a relationship. Okay. But now that you have kids and stuff, and you're asking that question to someone like, hey, we got kids and all, we're married, but what about an open relationship? To me, that's kind of code for saying, you know what, I've already went out there and had some fun. So I'm tired of, trying to hide it. So what do you think about if we do it? That's the first thing that's going to pop in my mind, is that you've already done it, or you're really seriously thinking about doing it. And so you're so far in that now you're like, hey, you know what? Try to make what I'm doing right in your mind. You know what I mean? That's going to be the first thing that comes to me, is that you've already done that. It's a no for me. You know what I mean? It's a no for me in terms of all aspects. And to some people, they're like, but you could be with a bunch of people and this and that. That's not what I signed up for. I've already lived a crazy life. You know what I mean? Like, I've already went out there and got all that out of myself. I've already done all that silly stuff. So it's like, that's just not for me. When I went and got married and all that stuff, I understood what all that meant. I understood that, this is a circumstance where I'm creating a family and I'm doing the whole traditional thing because that's what I believe in. You know what I mean? Like, at one point in time, I wasn't worried about traditional stuff because I was worried about just me. But when you change and you pivot and say, you know what? Not that I never believed in traditional stuff. I always have. But there come certain instances where you can put that on pause. You don't put that on pause when you're in a relationship already and then you're trying to make the other person get to where you are. That just it doesn't work that way. I made sure that when I was not with anyone, I was able to do what I wanted to do because hey, I'm not going to hurt anybody other than myself. So now, once you're in a situation where you have a family started, you don't just go and try to live the single life. It doesn't work that way. So that's kind of my opinion. You guys tell me what you think. Other folks kind of on our Discord were, talking about different things and all of that. Um, you know, and it's just funny. There's some funny responses. But I agree. I agree with some of these things. It's a no for me. But anyhow, tell me what you guys think. Make sure you join our Discord. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.